Hi there everybody, it's me again, Athenodorus with part 2 of our storyboarding tutorial. So we're going to start with a blank page here in Blender, which I assume you've all downloaded from blender.org and set it up. It's quite simple. I'm not going to go into setting up bits and pieces and downloading bits and pieces and links because there are thousands of YouTube videos out there on how to do these procedures. What I'm going to do is quite simply go through my way of producing a storyboard ready for your main animation, rendering and production, ready to send out there into the big world. So let's begin. Did I say blank page? Anyway, we've got a blank page here. We've got a lamp, we've got a cube, and we've got a camera. We need this, but we do not need this. So I'm going to press it using my right mouse button, and I'm going to go to delete, and I'm going to delete it. Now we're going to have a look at Caltex. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's a screenwriting software which is tremendous. You can do stills in your storyboard on this, and I've already done a previous video to how to actually do that. So I'm not going to go through that again. But it produces a screenplay the way you would actually write that screenplay for Mr. Spielberg. And say, Mr. Spielberg, this is my screenplay. The first thing he's going to notice is that in the right order of doing things for the film business. So I've taken this script from an old 1945, I think 1950s radio play. I'm not sure about the copyright, but I'm not using it for profit. I'm not using it to make money. I'm using it simply to teach on how to use audio and visual editing software to make your own movie. Caltex. And we're going to work on this section here, George the Robot. And George is going to say these parts, and the professor is going to say these parts here. So we'll be lip syncing this section here, but George, he's a robot. He just doesn't really move his mouth. So the professor is the lip syncing section, and George the robot is George the robot. So I'm going to close this, and we'll go to the next section. Okay, this is Make Human. You've got all your files here, all your saved characters that I've been using, building my own characters. I generally keep to the same kind of look of character, as if I was one of these film directors that likes their own stars. And this is one of my characters that I generally use in my animations. I don't have to keep fiddling around with faces and blah blah blah, so I stay with one character. This is Dr. Tomlinson, the main protagonist with George in our story. Now I'm not going to go through how this all works because all the bells and whistles and how this and that and the other, it's already done on YouTube in many videos how to use this piece of software. It's fantastic again. The character looks quite real, and I'm sure as technology improves and the AI starts to improve, this will look very human indeed. But what I am going to show you is the exporting Dr. Tomlinson. Make Human Exchange MX2 that we had in our first profile of tools. You give that a little dot. I've got Mr. Dunning. That was his last acting part. Now we've got I think it's Tomlinson, which I'll just make a note. And he's a meter. When he goes into Blender, that makes him the right height. If you go a decimeter, he's either huge, or if you go a centimeter, he's like minute and you can't see him. So tick that box, tick the meter, and export. Now he's going to go into your Documents page in your Make Human folder. Okay, So now I'm going to assume, and I know people shouldn't really assume, but I'm going to assume that you've managed to get your conversion software to convert your video to your audio, got a script, and what we're going to do is just play this back. I'll give it a quick
No,
listen.
I am George of Xanthar.
Who?
George of
I am
Xanthar.
here to learn all I possibly can learn of the planet Earth and its inhabitants. Less than 10 minutes ago, I landed not far from here in a spaceship, which I subsequently blew up and destroyed.
We can blow
Now
up the
let me
spaceship
explain.
if we wish.
I am Tomlin of Brentwood. Less than 10 minutes ago, I was sitting on my porch peacefully marking exam papers. I intend to resume right now.
Okay, that's what we've got. Now we're going to lip sync the professor, and we're going to place George, animate a mesh that we get from a little company called Turbo Squid, where I got this mesh from. I'm no good at modelling. I'm not a modeller. There are some wonderful modelers out there who give some great tutorials, but modelling is not for me. I like to animate and do more story orientated work than sitting there making a little jet or a robot. I'd rather get my assets in from open source software and utilize what's available in the, not really a marketplace, as it's open source. So I'm going to close this session down now, and in part 3 we'll start looking in Blender, and we'll get on with part 3. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe